Alright guys, how you going? Today is 8th of March of the 2020. It is a Sunday, so it's a good time to have a look at the weekly close, and also I guess it's the start of the new month and we can have a look at the last candle close. So I'm gonna do a few tickers here. So S&P 500, gold silver ratio. I'm gonna do a quick view on the dollar, DXY, Australian dollar, US oil, CGC, TRUL real quickly, and space. So let's start. Let's start with SPX. So it's been crazy dump that happened, and I'm looking at it on monthly. So we knew we were paying attention to this trend line, which is from 2009, and it seems like it is massively rejected from this trend line, basically at the all-time high. So we get first rejection, then we get another attempt, and the real rejection came. So on the monthly, what else? I mean, we had this bearish divergence that's been happening for a long time now, and it's finally playing out. It's finally playing out now. So the thing that we need to look at is basically that we're still setting we still haven't broken that the monthly trend, right? We still haven't broken to the low, and really we haven't done the weekly and daily either. So I'm gonna show you that one. But what else I want to show is that we are pausing at this monthly 21 EMA purple, and we have bounced. So as you can see, we bounced up to about 3,139, and now we're still rejecting, and we are below the green 8 EMA. So let's see if this EMA can become a support, right? So we definitely do not want to break below the 2855 because that will basically change a lot of trends to the downtrend, and we will confirm that this dump is real and it's not just gonna recover. V-shaped recovery to all-time high. And you can see here in the past, when we tested the 21 EMA, we also bounced, and we bounced twice from it, and only then we broke it, right? But then we had a V-shaped recovery. So who knows? You know what's gonna happen right now. The Fed must print. Everybody's pricing in more rate cuts coming up, and possibly already pricing in some stimulus coming. You know, there's going to be printing. Australia dropped the rates as well. Japan, Hong Kong dropped the rates. China dropped the rates first. So it's they're going to be coming out guns blazing. The banks are the countries, the governments, they are aware of this. Trump is very aware of this. He wants to print more money. He's tweeting about it. So they are aware. They want to control this, but will they be able to? So we need to keep watching. We need to see if we're going to set a lower low and go break below our dump low, which is key support right now. We have to hold this. So let's have a look on the weekly here. On the weekly, so we had this rising wedge, and we had many rising wedges which we had before, and we a lot of them we broke bull out of, like even beforehand. So, but here we had a massive dump. If we look on the weekly. I just switched on to SPY real quick just to have a look at the volume, and look at the volume. The volume is absolutely massive. It's one of the biggest ever volumes in recent years. That's the 2007 to 2009 recession. And look, on the weekly we're almost getting to oversold levels here, and every time we get to oversold levels, we always have a bounce. There's always a bounce, except for the in this 2009-2008 crash where we got severely oversold. But even then, the first time we got oversold, we had a bounce. We had a bounce over here. So let's see what's gonna happen. If we do drop down, we're gonna have this monthly. Actually, you know what? I don't like this trend line. I like the blue trend line. The blue trend line goes back all the way to 2009 as well, and that's gonna be a support here, like it was back in December 2018. So yeah, I mean, we dumped on a huge volume. Last week we formed an inside bar on the weekly, but it's like super wide. We did get rejected from the EMAs here when we tried to test them, and we also broke between this yellow trend line, which was resistance, and then we broke through it. Now we broke back below it, and now we tested it, and now we're getting rejected from it. So I guess it is acting as a bit of a resistance together with these EMAs. So as you can see on the weekly, we just had a massive dump. We haven't actually set a lower high and a lower low in order for us to change the actual trend. So we haven't really, we're not uptrending and we're not downtrending at the moment. So that's what needed to know. This was a double bottom here on the monthly high low, so very, very bottom fishing sort of play that you could have played when we were dumping quite severely. This dump is like the biggest dump since Great Depression. So like I'm just gonna have a look. I posted something on Twitter talking about it. So here we go. So if we draw the parallels to history, we now have the fastest drawdown of 10% since the Great Depression started. Back then it led to confiscation of gold, ended the gold standard, and subsequently devaluated US dollar by 40% versus gold. You can see I put a picture here. It says, and it's got the 1928, 1932, the Great Depression, which lasted for many, many years. And now somebody just went ahead and overlaid what we have now so far. So I mean, this is just artwork, and you can do that with any charts. But nevertheless, it just shows you an example that can we go lower? Yes, of course we can go lower. We don't have to. We're gonna have to watch for this support to hold. Excuse me. We're gonna wait for the support to hold, but nevertheless. So back then we had the 1933. We had the executive order from the president that said that the gold is now illegal. Nobody is allowed to hold gold, and you have a $10,000 fine or a 10-year imprisonment of both if you do not surrender your gold. So it's just a little bit crazy, to be honest, to have that. But they said that after that. Basically, like they confiscated the gold, and it says it makes sense with stocks in free fall for years after the Great Depression started. What some argue stopped the collapse was the signing of Executive Order 6102 by Roosevelt, which not only ended gold standard but also confiscated all gold held by the public and finally devalued the dollar against gold from 20.67 to 35 per ounce, and therefore devaluing dollar by 40% versus gold. And of course now conditions are very different from they were at the time of this Great Depression, with the dollar long ago losing its convertibility into gold. Thanks Nixon for that in 1979, I think. Yet While it would be next to impossible to confiscate gold, a massive dollar devaluation against the yellow metal maybe just what the Fed is planning. So maybe we're gonna get another devaluation of gold versus the dollar. So, but until we break to lower low over here, we will and which is a double bottom at the moment. We're still uptrending. We can still uptrend. So you can see here on the weekly, on the daily, we had a huge dump. We got oversold on the RSI, and then you can see the volume increasing here. We had the climax, and then we bounced. So we got RSI back above oversold. We set a lower high, and we corrected once again down. But we had a little pump and a save, I guess, on Friday, end of day. So actually, if you look at the 5-minute chart, on Friday, we were just going sideways to down, and we actually did a lower low at about 405, and then we just had a massive buy on Friday, a massive short squeeze, I guess, at the end of day. So there's some big money getting into the market or getting liquidated, whichever way you want to look at it. So very interesting silver with SPY with the SP500, and we're gonna have a look. What's gonna happen next week is gonna be very interesting and possibly very volatile. But to have any hope and to have some sort of a bullish sentiment, you have to hold this low here next week. So we don't need any more bad news on this stuff happening, and then it's already happening here. So I mean that's pretty much all I wanted to say on S&P 500. If we do break lower, this could be a good loading point for different stocks. It's probably best to play some stocks that have been performing strongly even during this drop, like Work or ZM, or even you could play Space because it's like a hype stock. So let's see what happens. But you can bet that if we do bounce on the weekly here, then the bears will be waiting to get back in and to short this rally once again. There's a lot of bears, so and I already talked about that the Federal Reserve is going to print and reduce the rates to zero because it doesn't have much more to ease to reduce the rates. So then we can have a look at the gold, right? So we looked at the gold parallels to 1933 when they confiscated gold and then devalued it. So I'm not saying this is going to happen here, but look at this 3 months chart, right? Each candle is 3 months. So it's just, this is the last bull market we had, and now we had a bear market for years and years, and now we're coming back up. We're almost at the all-time high, and gold is all-time high versus many other currencies right now. So for example, so if we have a look at 3 months, so we could get a cup and handle here, right? We could get a cup and handle here. We haven't had a 3 months high or low, and we haven't had a monthly high or low since here, right? Since there. So it's far away. We're really far away from the EMAs as well, 13%. So if the correction comes, maybe it will be in the form of a monthly bull flag once again, and then maybe we will form this cup and handle, which we're going to watch out for. The other interesting thing is what I have here is if you look on the weekly, excuse all the drawings here, but if we look on the monthly here, you can see this thick orangey, dark orange trend line here. So you can see how it was in the last bull market. There was resistance, then broke through, then it was support, then it support for a little bit, broke through, and then it was resistance, and then it broke through, and then it was resistance over here in 2019, and once we broke through it, we had a nice run, and now if you look, if I'm going to zoom in on the weekly, we had this, we broke through it, we had the coronavirus dump, and look, it got supported by this multi-year resistance support trend line, and then we had a huge pump back. So if you look at it on the daily, you can see there was a huge dump. We actually broke below the daily 21 EMA. We actually broke below this trend line, and I was a little bit worried because I do have a long for gold, and I do have a long for silver. But we'll have a look at silver very soon. But gold basically had a bit of a bouncy day, and then it had a massive shot up where we did go to a double top, and we got rejected. And we had a huge dump which got bought up, and we basically went back up, retested now it's like a triple top. We retested it and we got rejected again on Friday. So very interesting for gold. The main thing is we hold this, so we got a new weekly high low over here at 1,563, and this is pretty much like a, the bulls pretty much have to hold this, right? You need to hold this to keep uptrending on the weekly. You always want to uptrend on the weekly on the macro time frame to keep marching upwards. So that's gold. Gold looks very strong, and we are very likely to break this resistance. Also, the key thing that I was going to say is that this massive pump here was basically caused when the Fed announced they were going to reduce the interest rates, right? And they decided to reduce the interest rate, and we didn't have the same response in S&P 500 as we did in gold. So the gold just shot up by a lot, and it maintained its momentum. But with S&P 500, it had actually had a negative effect, and it was like a sort of the news event. Basically, once they announced the Federal Reserve reducing the rates, then the S&P 500 actually went downwards instead of upwards. So it was a bit of a price in already, and it was the news event. So this is very good sign for gold, because any further cuts or any further injections will cause gold to go bullish again. So another very interesting thing which happened just recently is if you look on the monthly chart of gold, this is gold versus S&P 500, and you can see we had this all-time high in 2011 following the financial crisis. Excuse me. And then we just had gold dropping in relations to S&P 500. This whole time has been dropping, and then what happened was just now it has started to form an equilibrium, which is basically setting a lower highs and higher lows. And recently, just last month, we broke above it. Then we retested downwards again, and now we broke above it again. So this is a monthly chart, keep in mind. So this is very macro, and this means that gold is going to be much more bullish than S&P 500 in the coming years. And you can see there's a trend line here that also got broken. We got tested, then it got broken, it got retested, and now we had the bull break again. So this is very good for gold. And just like Ray Dalio, he's got his analysis, and he's saying that we're probably going to have a paradigm shift, and instead of stocks, the next 10 years is going to be the commodities years for gold and precious metals. And you got this shown on the technicals. You got the gold breaking out. You got the gold breaking out versus the SPX on macro frames.
very large frames. So you know you got this huge resistance here that got taken out, and now we are in a bull trend here. So everything is lining up for gold to just keep going up, and for the currencies getting devalued further and further, and gold getting more valuable, or gold being more bullish than the stocks. So that's my view, and I do, and you gotta see what you want to do. Do you want to act on it, or do you want to just hold your fiat and see it evaporate? So the silver is much weaker than gold, and right now, in my view, it's basically trapped between these two trend lines, this white dotted trend lines, and you can see basically it's trying to break above this trend line, which has been acting as a support and resistance for many years, all the way from 08. Support here, resistance here, and now it's resistance again. So this will be a massive move when we do break above it, and it will be a massive thing for silver. And also it's getting supported by the trend line here, which is like a trend line here. You can actually extend it, and then you can see it's also getting touches, almost touches for multiple years as well. So that's why it's actually a support here, together with the monthly 21 EMA. So we're picking up, and we need silver to push up more and retest this once again, and possibly break it, and then we'll have a real silver breakout, which will lead us to gold-silver ratio. So gold-silver ratio will probably start going down. Right now it seems like the bulls want to reach this magical 100 level, which will make gold 100 times more expensive than silver, which it doesn't happen on this chart here, but it only goes up to 1998, so about 22 years or so, 23, 22 years back. And there is gold and silver chart, historical. Actually, let me see if I can quickly find it on my Twitter. Gold silver on my Twitter. From my Twitter, and maybe it will have a has a longer history of the here we go, I found it. So over here you can see that the last 150 years, from 1873, you can see that the 100 has only been in 1938. So very interesting, actually, because it happened during this Great Depression when gold went up, and then the gold went down against silver up to about 20, and then it went once again in 88 up to 100, and then it dropped for the silent depression, they call it here, and now it's back up to about 100. So this is it's going to be quad top at 100, and likely we're going to come back to at least 30 or even lower than that. So it's probably a good time to accumulate silver versus gold right now. At this stage, in my opinion. But right now the technicals are showing us that gold is much stronger than silver. We had this, and I've been looking out on this gold-silver ratio rising wedge. We thought we were going to break down here, but we didn't, and now basically we broke upwards instead. So we broke bullish in this wedge. We don't always have to break bearish, sometimes we do break bullish. So right now we'll see if we can get a shot up to 100. and maybe then break backwards, and then silver will go up. So usually, sometimes these wages, they have the fake outs, and then they collapse really quickly down. So if that happens, we need to be buying silver against the gold. So, and then you need to buy gold and silver versus S&P 500, because S&P 500 is monthly equilibrium has also broken, very bullish for gold. And also we need to buy it versus fiat, because fiat is just a piece of junk, and what the governments are ready to print, the Federal Reserve is ready to print, and are they going to print us into oblivion? Are they going to print us into hyperinflation? So let's have a look at dollar. So this is the dollar here. There's a multi-macro triangle back from 2002. We had a touch here, got rejected, and now it got a touch here. And now look at this beautiful wick rejection right there. When this candle was full up the top, I thought that's it, we have broken out, we're gonna be getting dollar to get stronger versus other currencies, but instead we had a massive rejection due to the coronavirus, due to Federal Reserve dropping rates, and everybody possibly expecting that we're gonna get QE and printing of the liquidity, injection of the liquidity into the market. There's talks right now which were actually talked about by Christine Lagarde back a few years ago, and even now people are saying that the Federal Reserve might now actually buy stocks. So once that's gonna start, it's just gonna be who's gonna want dollars anymore? The fiat currency, it seems like the Federal Reserve can't do much more. They have to print. That's all they know how to do. That's how they save the economy, and it's basically suicide if they don't, especially when you got Trump on your neck saying print. Alright, so it's been half an hour already. Let's go to the Australian dollar real quick. Australian dollar is basically rubbish at the moment. It's got the lowest price it has been since 2009 as well, which was a massive crash here, and it's just been going down, but it's probably due for a bounce. You can see here we got a low, low, and if you zoom in on the other side, we got a slightly higher low, or like a double bottom, so it's got a bullish divergence here. So maybe we're gonna get a bounce, and we're gonna go, and it looks like it's already started, and it looks like we're maybe gonna come back to test these EMAs over here, see what's gonna happen from there. So you can, if you look in the weekly, we got oversold, so we're having a weekly oversold bounce, and that's Australian dollar, but it's still junk. And yeah, we had a climax volume. That's why we're bouncing at the moment. Alright, so let's have a look at oil. Oil is getting slaughtered as well. This is the monthly chart as well. Oil is getting slaughtered because this coronavirus, everything is shutting down. All the trade routes, all the deliveries getting less and less. Let me just drink a bit of water. And the dollar, the US oil is going down in price, and also recently we had a meeting between the OPEC and Russia, and OPEC said that Saudi Arabia and all them, they said they want to reduce the production of oil so that the price may go up, but Russia did not agree to that, and so we had a massive drop on oil price as well on Friday. Look at that, that's a huge drop. We are oversold on daily, so we are likely to bounce very soon. You can see that this monthly trend line got broken through, so maybe we're gonna come up and try to test it on the bounce when the bounce does happen, but who knows when the bounce happens. We can also look at this massive falling wedge here. It's a massive falling wedge here from 2007, 2008 excuse me, 2008. So let's see if we're gonna get this tested or not coming up in the future, and maybe we're gonna get oversold like we did get oversold over here. So US oil is just getting dumped. I don't want to spend much more time on it. It's just downtrending here, getting extreme, getting ready for a daily bounce at least, right? At least you got daily oversold, you got 4 hour very oversold, We got one now, very oversold as well. So I mean weekly is oversold as well. So monthly, soon to be oversold. But yeah, the bounce is coming. But all right. So Bitcoin, right? So now we want to talk about Bitcoin. Do we really want to talk about Bitcoin? Should I make a separate video? Maybe I will make a separate video about it because it's been a bit too long. And instead of Bitcoin, what I'm going to look at, CGC. So this is Canopy Growth Corporation, the wheat stocks, and the wheat stocks are getting absolutely slaughtered, right? Absolutely slaughtered. We had the crazy pump into the legalization in Canada, then we had the huge dump, then we had a repump again just to confuse everyone and think that we're back in the bull market, and then we had a massive dump. It's monthly charts, so like it's just been horrible, and all the people who believe in the marijuana revolution just oh my god, they got slaughtered, absolutely slaughtered. And look, we reached this resistance which acted as a support over here, and we had a really nice bounce together with the market. But now what happened was the market has turned bearish. We had a bear break, and now the pot stocks dropped down, and now all the pot stocks are running out of money as well, which is a problem. So we are going to start getting oversold on the weekly if we go much lower. So yeah, there is no reason to try to play it, I guess, too much. It's been dumping, it's downtrending. It got rejected by the weekly EMA. We got a fake out, but then we quickly broke below the 21 EMA. Now we're well below it. And on the daily, we had a massive dump. It's getting oversold here on the daily, so there will be a bounce, but who knows when. We do have this support here to use as a support coming up at 1381, and it's most likely going to bounce from there. Will I play it? Maybe if we go straight down there on the on next week, which is tomorrow on Monday, and all of next week. So because you can see we got daily oversold, we got 4 hour below 20 RSI, we got 1 hour getting a bit of a still look at it. We got pretty oversold here. We did have a little bit of a bounce on the end of the day together with S&P 500. If you remember the S&P 500, did I show you the massive bounce? Look at that. Yeah, that's right. I said it. We had a low fake out, and then we had a massive pump. And look at this massive pump here. And then you compare it to CGC. It's it's not even that nice. It's just a small bounce here, 2%. Right. It's not amazing. And we already have RSI pretty high up. But we did break this. No, we didn't break this RSI resistance. So maybe we're just gonna reject from it. So yeah, the CGC is absolutely slaughtered. The others one are even worse. For example, if you look at ACB is just $1.17, right? $1.17 when it was $12. So like, imagine you bought at the top here. You got absolutely owned, and it's gonna become a penny stock. Like, they're saying that the ACB is having huge problems. A bunch of people that have been with the company for ages and started it pretty much quit. They left the company. They left everybody hanging. They didn't have any good explanation why they left the company, and the company is just collapsing. And they're running out of cash as well. So holding this is really bad. And look at TLRY as well. TLRY, the superstar.
look at the TLRY, it went up all the way to $300, and now it's the all-time low at $10, right? It's at $10 from $300, and looks like it's gonna break below the $10 as well. The bounces are coming, but they're just gonna be short covering bounces, at least at this stage. We're gonna have to change lots of trends, and there's gonna be a lot of resistance trying to conquer this price back up. So it's much easier to play other names that do not have such bad resistances up above, and so many back holders that just praying that they can get out, break even. Let's have a look at TRUL. So TRUL, and I'm using the TCNNF ticker, which is the ticker on the OTC desk, so I can trade it in American dollars instead of trying to convert and reconvert it to Canadian dollars. You can see on the monthly here, it's in a huge equilibrium here, in a huge triangle, and we're looking for a higher low basically, and maybe we have set it over here. But it's not confirmed yet, obviously, at 8:43. And if we zoom in, there's going to be a break, and if the break is down, the bulls are in trouble, right? We need some help here from the news. We need some news in America that they are going to legalize some sort of marijuana thing, or make it possible to get investment from the banks. So yeah, so if we do break up though, I'm definitely gonna play this, and yeah, it's gonna be really good, but we need news for that to happen, because right now we are at the bottom. We could break downwards, then I'm gonna be not interested. So space has come down on doing landing. Once again, they went into space, and now they're back to Earth again. They had the first breakout to all-time high with a huge gain. So if we check here, we had 52% gain. Then we set this all-time high, and we had a really nice structure here, which I played. And then they had 100% gain. So it was huge moves. This is why you want to play charts that are in the breakout, that are at all-time highs. You want to play with the trend. You want to play uptrending charts instead of trying to play downtrending charts, which when bounce they give you 2% bounce, instead of here you had a bounce of 30%, right? And then you had another bounce of 45-50% almost. So you want to play names like this. And now what I'm thinking is going to happen here is we're going to form an equilibrium. So we had our low here, 1911. We had the lower high. Now we're looking for a higher low compared to 1911. I'm thinking we are going to set it because we have quite a good support here at these levels here at 1990. So and then we're likely to see how we're going to react with the 21 EMA and the 8 EMA as well. And we can see that the volume is decreasing. There's nobody selling. There's less people saying, but there's not a lot of people buying either. So we need to wait, especially in these times of turbulent times when S&P 500 is getting sold off like crazy. Nobody wants to really put money into speculative stocks. So yeah, anyway, it's gonna go into equilibrium, and then when the equilibrium breaks, let's say it's gonna do something like, then you can play. If it happens like that, that will be a good setup. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. You don't have to play it, right? And it could break downwards. So that's the stocks. I mean, Tesla had the massive pump, and now it's going down a bit. It's landing. ZM looked very strong. So yeah, what you want to do. But just in summary, what I want to say is that right now I am staying away from the markets. I'm not trading as much as I traded when we were up here and uptrending at all-time highs. I am being very careful and much more picky and to pick my trades because you don't want to give any money back. Right now, what you want to do is you want to, number one thing you want to do is preserve your money. You don't want to spend it on this, and the only thing I'm playing is gold and silver, and those things I want to hold. I don't want to really trade them, I just want to hold them because I'm expecting this to confirm a cup and handle or something, and then have a all-time high breakout. So as the governments print money all over the world and devalue their currency into hyperinflation. So and the other thing I'm doing is I'm trading cryptocurrencies because cryptocurrencies about to, I think it's going to have a bull run, and it's already looking bullish. It's having a bit of a pullback. Right now on the daily, but we're looking for weekly high low. So and I'm going to make another video which will be on the cryptos. So thanks for tuning in. Let me know if you have any requests. See you later.